All right, it's time to find out who got next. And this week, the answer is my friend, but also my nemesis, Dr. Jason Johnson, because he'll be in the chair next week while I peace out to the beach. I'm joined now by my nemesis and IG partner, Jason Johnson, MSNBC political contributor and professor at Morgan State, who finally wore a suit and tie on my show. Thank you so much. Hi, Jason. How's it going this morning? So happy you can join us. Look, I'm happy you're here because earlier this week, you were trending on Twitter for hours. And when you were on our colleague Nicole Wallace's show, you reacted to Joe Biden's speech, President Biden. And, you know, you said it left you wanting. And I just want to give you a chance to explain what you meant, because I don't think you're a Biden hater. And I think what most people want to know is, what can Biden do? So what's your answer?
So thank you for asking, Tiffany. And yes, I put on a whole tie today, just for you.
Thank you. It better not be a clip-on.
I want people to understand. It is. I think it's under here. Yeah. I want people to understand this larger context of what I said about Joe Biden's speech. Yes, it's impressive that he spoke at Tulsa. Yes, it's important that we do things symbolically. But there is a tendency in this country, and this is amongst the sort of larger majority population and sometimes within the African-American community, that black people somehow are supposed to have lower expectations for political efficacy from leaders and other groups of people. If you're an abortion rights activist, if you're a farmer, if you're a gun owner, there are all sorts of people in this country who demand immediate action from elected officials. And if they don't get it, they continue to scream, they continue to complain. But when black people say, hey, you should do something about this and do something about this now, suddenly everybody becomes, you know, a political science expert and can explain all the ways that what black people need can't be done. And that is the perspective that I tend to have. It's not that I hate Joe Biden. I don't hate Joe Biden. I obviously wanted Joe Biden to win over Donald Trump. I always thought all the way through last year that Joe Biden had the best chance to beat Donald Trump. I don't dislike him at all. My major criticism of Joe Biden is that I don't often think he recognizes how much action he's going to need to take to retain the black support and enthusiasm he needs to maintain the Congress and keep his presidency. So that's the first part. As for what Joe Biden and this administration can actually do, there are 3 people left who are Tulsa witnesses. You spoke to them, Tiffany, on an excellent show last week. There's only 3 people still alive.
Yeah.
We give out money in this country all the time. We handed PPP checks, you know, to Tom Brady, okay? Like, we've tons of money in this country. So there are ways in which, through Congress, through riders, through bills, you could do a public-private partnership and say, we're giving $1 million grant to these people as research aids in a larger project about reparations. There are ways that these people can be compensated monetarily. A 104-year-old person does not need a low-interest loan on a new home. What they need is to be made whole in some semblance of a way from what they experienced.
Okay, well, we'll see how ticked off the people on Twitter are about that response. I want to talk about something else that you said, because so many people have been asking me to talk about the whole interracial couples and commercials thing. So take a listen to what Joe Biden said, and then we'll talk about it on the other side.
I've never been more optimistic about the future than I am today. And I don't know how many commercials we'll see. Lay 8 to 5. 2 to 3 out of 5 have mixed-race couples in them. That's not by accident. They're selling soap, man. Not a joke. Remember old Pat Goodell used to say, you want to know what's happening in American culture? Watch advertising. Because they want to sell what they have. We have hope.
The interracial couples and commercials is a whole thing. What are your thoughts? I know that you said that doesn't solve racism, but what do you think is behind that? Because we see that a lot. And it was just a few short years ago when that Cheerios commercial was so controversial because there was an interracial couple and everybody said, I'll do it too. What do you think?
So, Tiffany, and I wrote a piece about this on a grill that I will tweet out. Number one, all interracial couples are not received equally by America as a whole. And that's part of my criticism of what Joe Biden is saying and the perception of these things. You know why the Cheerios commercial was so controversial? It's because it was a black man and his white wife. We've seen the polls. We're still in a country where interracial couples are much more comfortable to the majority white population if the man is white. If the man is black, if the man is Asian. I mean, how many times have you seen a commercial with an Asian man
Yeah.
It does happen. And here's the other thing, Tiffany, and this is really key. So this morning, I was literally having this conversation with Naira Hack about a Happy Meal that had interracial couples on it, and she was like, hey, it had a Muslim family, but again, the interracial family was a white man and his black wife.
Right, yeah. Well, unfortunately, we're out of time. You'll be sitting in this chair for me next week. If you followed our IG Lives, you know I had to beg Jason for weeks to make himself available. Jason, I want you to be great next week, but try not to be better than me. Like, fumble, stumble, don't turn this into a whole comic book nerd show for 2 hours, you know. But thank you, my friend, for filling in for me. So you guys be sure to tune in next week. And Jason, we'll see you on IG Live in a few minutes.